My sister nominated me for the Rachel Ray Give Back Thanksgiving show. And it was right at the beginning of starting Fun Cycled. I had no money at all. I had no health insurance. I was like, I don't even know how we're going to buy Christmas gifts this year. We had nothing, like, when I say
Right.
nothing, really nothing extra. And it was such a gift because when you're on that show, on that Thanksgiving episode, everything they do that they give away, they give to everyone in the audience. So
Oh, wow.
I was recorded by the producers answering questions about my 30 random acts of kindness,
Yeah.
but really what was the gift was all the free things I got, and then it gave me gifts to give people for Christmas. My son's
Oh,
gift was an electric guitar. My
oh,
daughter's
wow.
gift was a Kindle. And they were giving away like diamond watches and cruises. And I'm like, that's nice. That's nice. And they said, and you can have a year of free dog food. And I started crying because I'm like, that helps with the bills. Could really use that.
Hello and welcome to Redesigning Health and Home. I'm your host, Carrie, and today I'm joined by a very exciting guest. We have Sarah Trop joining us today. And Sarah is the owner and founder of her shop called Fun Cycled. And she's an interior designer. She refinishes furniture. She does all the things. And so we're excited to talk to you today. So how are you, Sarah? What's going on in your neighborhood?
Carrie, thank you for having me. This side of the neighborhood is a little crazy at the moment. It's been really busy, fun season for us, but I could go on and on. But overall, designing and creating beautiful spaces and learning so much lately. So I'm really grateful to be doing what I love every day. It's really been a blessing.
It's wonderful to love what you do is so important, I think. And I know just before we hopped on, I mentioned to you, oh, I noticed that you're so busy. And you said, oh, how do you know? And so, you have great Instagram presence. And
Thank
I
you.
noticed that most recently you had a fall festival. So can you tell us a little bit about that? Because that sounds fun.
Sure, yeah. I have to go back a little bit into my childhood and say, when I was a little girl, I would say maybe 8 to 12 years old, one of our good family friends would do a fall festival at their house, and I loved it. It was like the highlight of my year, all the races and apple cider donut eating, and just it was wonderful parts of my childhood. So I really want to incorporate that into our business somehow. And I thought, what a better way to bring the community together and also kind of showcase what we do in design and cabinet painting and furniture painting than to have open house tours. So we bought our house. It's almost 7 years ago now, but it took us 5 years to remodel it. It's an 1802 farmhouse. And once we finished it, a few years back, we started doing tours of it where people could walk through. And it's evolved over the years. And in my opinion, has gotten better and better. This year, we had multiple vendors. We had a curated art experience for people to come paint alongside us. We had photo sessions. I had authors, local authors selling their books all throughout the day, every hour. And every room in the space that you come in, you can actually scan a QR code and order items that you see in the room if you like them. We just point you to whoever we ordered it from. And so it becomes a whole yearly experience for people. And everyone who I was talking to after said, it felt like a Hallmark movie. It felt like you were on a Hallmark movie. And I was like, score. That's what I was going for. Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
That
So
sounds like a dream. And I do have to ask you for guests that may not know, where in the country do you live?
yeah, I'm in upstate New York, right near the capital of Albany. We live about 10 minutes outside of the Albany area. It feels like we're in the country, but we're not because we can easily get. When I looked at this house, I said, I can be at Starbucks in 5 minutes. It's perfect. Okay.
That's perfect. Yeah,
I'll go for it.
yeah, that's my kinda country, like, country, but where's the mall? Like, where's the home?
Exactly.
How far
Yes,
away is that's my kinda country. Well, we
exactly.
actually my family lived in upstate New York in Rochester, New York for 8 years before we moved back to the Chicagoland area, so I'm
Okay.
familiar with the level of snow that you get up there.
Don't remind me. I try to travel as much as I can from January to March. I'm like, what work trips do I need to take January to March? Because I don't want to live where the world is dark all day and it snows nonstop.
Yeah.
But every other season in New York, I love so much. And Rochester, actually, my best friend from high school is an architect there. So I go out to Rochester. My son's girlfriend lives in Rochester. So
Aw.
we're have a lot of Rochester trips in our life.
Very nice. Yes, well, we definitely miss our friends from Rochester. It was sad to, leave them behind, but very good memories there
How long
anyways.
ago did you move?
We left there in 2023 to move
Okay.
back to the Chicagoland area.
So
Yeah.
recently. Okay.
Yeah, fairly recently for sure. So I wanna there's so many things I wanna talk about. So, first of all, 1802, the first thing that comes to mind when I hear about a home that was built in 1802 is how difficult was it to upgrade the electrical?
Our electrical wasn't too bad. We had to get a new box in the basement. And then
Okay.
just as we remodeled different rooms, we would run the lines to it. But really, we wanted to do a larger panel anyway because we wanted a generator so that in the snowstorms, especially because we work here too, we
Sure.
need work to keep going. And for the longest time, this sounds weird, but we have a power line that runs out to the road that every time a squirrel would jump on it, it fried the whole thing, and we would have to wait for National Grid to come and fix it all. Now they figured out a resolve after coming about 20 times over the past 5 years,
Jeez.
and it doesn't happen anymore, but we had to get a generator, so we kinda had to upgrade the panel anyway. So for us, it wasn't bad at all.
Good, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you buy a home that was built in 1802, you expect to have to deal with all those things behind the walls, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, we were more surprised by some of the rooms were insulated by sawdust only.
Wow, did you find anything interesting in the walls?
No, we found nothing in the walls. When we did some digging outside for some landscaping projects, we did find old glass bottles that have the farm information. It was like a milk farm, and they were intact still. So we have those and we go over that on our tour too. The lady who owned this house, we bought it from her when she was 95, moving into a nursing home, and she was born here. And it was in her family all throughout the years. And she actually had a receipt from 1699 when they rented the property for farming. So the stories in this house, it's
My
just,
gosh.
yeah, really beautiful.
Yes, and I can imagine that part of your answer is just what you talked about there, is the deep history that comes with an older home, even older furniture and home decor items. But what is it that drew you first to really having an appreciation for old homes and furniture, and, what do you think that the connection is there?
Yeah, I mean, I've always really liked old homes, even to the point of the first house I ever remember that we moved into when I was 4. We kind of fixed it up over the years we lived in it, and we moved when I was 12, and whoever bought it next, like, just destroyed it. It became so bad that it had to be demolished. And I remember as a very young person really being bothered by that. Like, I really care a lot about old things being preserved. I've been to Ireland and walked on churches and castles that were built in 1120, 1140, thinking, should we even be allowed to walk on this? This is like
Right.
so much has happened here, so much history, so much to preserve. And actually, the other day, my daughter and I were driving around and there was a torn down building or a building that was falling down, an old house. And she's like, Mom, we should buy it and fix it all up. That's what we do. We save old houses. I was like, you're right. That is what we do. So I love preserving something that's really old and giving it new life. There's something really fulfilling about that, thinking that history is going to continue because of the impact that you made.
Sure, sure, and just knowing that home, other people celebrated in that home and grieved in that home and just did daily life in that home. And so much of the furniture that we can get now is kind of throwaway furniture. It's not super well made, and while it's maybe affordable, it doesn't tend to last. And restoring those old pieces, I think, is super valuable. I know you've mentioned the sustainability part or piece when I was looking at some of your YouTube videos, but what other kind of positives do you think there is about restoring old furniture and that
Yeah, I
sort of
mean, there are so many good reasons, sustainability first of mine, of course, but I love a good story. So the idea that, okay, when I was a young girl as well, I had this dresser that was in my bedroom and I loved it. It had a lot of detailing around the mirror and it was beautiful, but I hated the color. And so even as a teen, I said to my mom, can I paint it? And she let me paint it this rose color textured paint. Now I look back and like, what was I doing? But it was something that was in my family, and I didn't wanna get rid of it, but I could reuse it in a way that became a really fun story piece. And I think that's one of my favorite things in interior design when I'm designing a space that has something that's old or underutilized or kind of used. And we can talk about the story of why it's important. And I tell people it doesn't always have to be like some grand, this is from my grandmother's in England and they brought it over on a boat, even though I've had those stories. It
Right?
could be my daughter and I saw this on the side of the road and we salvaged it together. So I remember that. And it just, or my kids put their names on the underside of this table. So I never want to get rid of it. I've had that. And so we refinish the top and we paint the base and we preserve where history has left its mark, And to me, that is the best thing about business, best thing about life is the stories behind what we're sharing, right? And so that's one thing I love so much about redoing furniture and spaces.
Yes. Well, I agree. Life is about people first, always. People first. Things way down the list of importance. But when the things have the connection with with the people, that's I think when they start to get their value, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So you have a shop called Fun Cycled. If you were to take us virtually through your shop, the listeners that are here today, what would we see in your shop if we walk through?
We actually don't have a physical retail shop anymore. We did for 8 years. And then through COVID, we found almost all our client orders were coming through our design feature, which is one of the reasons that we opened up the fall festival. So we have a shop online where people can buy our furniture and pick it up locally or have it shipped. I do artwork, I do paintings as well. So I have those on our website as well, but I don't have a brick and mortar. I have a little office at my house where people can come pick things up or do custom orders. Just with the change of COVID, we didn't find that we needed a retail shop anymore. It kind of changed the temperature, which is kind of sad to me because I do love community. I love people showing up and just connecting, but we're doing it in different ways now.
I was gonna say, Sarah, it sounds like your home has become your shop in a way, right? Because now you're have people coming there to pick up things. You have people coming to tour your home and fall festivals. So it sounds like
Yeah.
your home has become a much larger version of the shop. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
I noticed the word biophilic design when I was doing some research on kind of what you do. Not everybody is familiar with that term. Can you explain to us what biophilic means?
Yeah. Biophilic is when you basically this simplified version is bringing nature inside. So imagine we try to bring things within designs that you would naturally see. Or, for instance, I may not put curtains on a window. If it's a private area, so my house is set off the road, most people cannot see in it. So most of my first floor has no curtains because I love bringing natural light into a space.
Mhm.
I like to incorporate wood tones where I can, natural wood tones. I love to bring in, stone that's a natural stone, hardwood floors, even the fabrics like linens and cotton material, just things that are more in their natural state is the focus of biophilic design and how it affects our emotions because of the nature that you're bringing inside, bringing plants into a space. Those are all things that are kind of encapsulated within biophilic design.
Right, right. Yeah, I love that too. It again brings so much warmth and I think connection, with our world into your home by incorporating those things on the inside of our house. So I love that. I saw a hack. I'm going to call it a hack. It wasn't a hack, it was an intentional design. You were working with a couple by the name of Joy and Nathan, and you did a cabinet hack that I thought was absolute genius. Can you tell us about that? I was like, that is the best money-saving kitchen hack I've ever seen."
Thank you. That was a creative one. So they did not want to rip out and put in new cabinets, which we agree most of the time you can salvage what you have. It's good, again, for the environment and it has good visual impact when you redo it. But I don't know if you've seen kitchen cabinets where the upper doors have kind of an ugly arch where it's not
Yeah,
even
like a
the newer
raised.
ones have yeah, and it's not even like the half circle arches that are kind of coming back in some designs. That's not what I mean. Think like 1970s, 1980s kind of ugly arches. And so I showed them when I got there that the back side of their doors were shaker style. So I said, "Why don't we just flip them inside out? It saves you so much money from having to buy new." And no one sees the inside unless you're opening it, and does anyone
Right.
really care if there's an
Right,
arch on the inside when you open a door,
right.
and they were game. They're definitely big on repurposing as well. And so, yeah, we flipped them, drilled holes on the opposite side, filled the other side, and painted it. And it's like you wouldn't even have recognized the kitchen. It looks so different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Genius. Absolute
Thank you.
genius hack. I was like so then I'm looking inside my cabinet. It's like, yes, it does look like a shaker cabinet.
And if you can't picture it, it's like it's always pinned as the top video on our Facebook page, Fun
Yes.
Cycles Facebook page, because sometimes people can't picture what we're saying with that. So
Yeah, yeah, go check it out. It's was a really great idea, I thought. So you work with your husband, John. Your business is a family business. What is that like from the perspective of your marriage and relationships and stress and chaos, but also how awesome is that? What's it like working with family?
yeah, there's always pros and cons, right? I would say the first 5 years of working together was the hardest
Mm,
because typically opposites attract. So how I think things should be done isn't the way he thinks things should be done. And for a long time, I had to learn even in the process that there's things you have to let go. Like I'm a perfectionist, so I want all the details to be exactly how I would do them and everything to like customer service follow up. And I realized one of the things that was kind of grating at our relationship was he would do the physical work, I'm doing the design and management. And if there was a complaint, it came to me. So I'm like, oh man, I am sick of getting complaints on something you've done.
right.
And, my therapist literally said, "Well, he needs to take the complaints. It's on his work." And I'm like, "Well, what if he doesn't respond the way I would respond or get back to them as fast as I think he should?" She's like, "You gotta let go. Like, you cannot be in charge of everything and do it well." And so I did. I started saying he clearly goes in and says, "Sarah, project manage up till it starts. Now that it's starting, I'm the project manager. Any
Mm,
complaints, any questions, don't go to her, go to me." And I actually have to reinforce that because people will still go to me. I think because I'm more of like the warm, cozy, chatty girl, you know? And so they want to, and I have to just always go, "Hey, now that it's started, I'm in meetings most of the time. I'm in design meetings and calls. I will delay your project. John is your man once it starts. He's devoted to you. He's devoted to the project for the time that it's on the schedule, so he'll be available." And that takes discipline on my part to say like, "I'm not comfortable with this. I don't like that." And yeah, I have to do it if we're going to run a business well. So that pivot changed our business significantly in the last 5 years, I would say. And then also trying the kids are on payroll too. And so that has been an interesting dynamic too, because you don't want to force your kids to work with you, right? You want them to come from a place of wanting to. So for a while, my son did not want to work with us at all. And my husband said, "You need to let him work somewhere else. He needs to see what it's like to work for someone. It's a
mhm,
good learning experience." And I'm like, "Ugh, but we need him." And they're like, he'll have more flexible schedule with us because we love to travel. And I don't want to not be able to travel because he's got this other job. And he's like,
right.
"You have to let go." Are you getting a pattern here? Like, I have to let go?
I think you might be I don't know if you're a Capricorn, but I am, and it sounds
I
very
don't know.
familiar.
Yeah, so I'm like, "Okay." He got a job and just in the he's been working there, I think almost 2 years, and just over the last month, he's like, "I wanna work with Fun Cycle. Like, I wanna come and do more hours with you guys instead." And now his attitude's good. We're not forcing it. We're not saying, like, "You have to get up and go." He's showing up with a happy heart. He's working hard, and it took time to get there, right? And same thing with my daughter. She has an incredible eye. I all of me wants to be her to be a designer. I'll go through design magazines with her and we'll flip through the pages and I'll say, "Tell me what's the best part of this design and what you would change." Every time, and I'm not exaggerating, every time it's exactly what I would say. Like she just
Ah,
has a natural drive and bent towards design, but she doesn't want to be a designer and she wants to be a chef. So I'm like, you gotta just let go. Like
yeah,
it's can't you can't. So that's the struggle side. But I would say the positives are we create beautiful memories with travel. I do a lot of travel blogging. We get the kids involved with that. We let them select like what they want to do in the different cities. Like we went to Budapest, Vienna, Prague, and Puerto Rico this year
mhm,
and teaching them how to navigate through the cities, how to call an Uber, how to go through the airport without me.
right.
And it was so much fun. I just love being around them. They're like the best little people on the planet, and in my opinion. And
Which matters a lot.
yeah. And so it's just been a great time of travel and doing life with them. I think they're learning. Like I was just talking to a mom friend last night who struggles with doing anything that she's passionate about because she feels like her job has to be all kids.
Mm,
And I see that and I respect that. Like I had my mom was a stay-at-home mom. I value so much like what she sacrificed to be with me. And I think it's beautiful if you can, but God wires people differently. And that's what I said to my friend last night. Like if you're wired to work as well, there's a balance. It doesn't mean you can't have a passion and a drive for something and also well care for and love your family. Like there's a reason why you're built that way. And so I think sometimes as women, we have such a guilt complex. We're always like, oh, I'm not doing enough of this. I'm not doing enough of that. But if we could step back and say, like, what am I called to? Like, what do I feel like my calling is? And step into that and have balance, right? We're always fighting for balance. I try to go to the end of life and think, what am I going to wish I did in this moment and make the decision based on that? Balance is tricky when you own your own business, right? But what I always say to the kids is that we work hard so we can play hard. Like some weeks are going to be tough, but also we're traveling to 3 countries this year. Like there'll be no
right,
work for 10 days. And,
right.
so I think I'm answering more than you asked, but that's how it's going.
Well, what jumped out at me there is that it's a very tangible way to for your kids to see that putting in the hard work, can lead to something really enjoyable and, making the memories with the family and some travel later, as well as just the intrinsic joy of working, you know, to do work and to contribute. I love that. I love that that's the approach that you take with your kids. You have been on TV quite a bit. Tell us
Yes.
about that. And what was there a favorite, particular moment of the things that you've been on?
I haven't been asked that question. That's a good one. I was on the Rachel Ray show I did 30 random acts of kindness on my 30th birthday. And I wasn't even going to share about that with the world, but my dad said, if it inspires people to do kind things, you should share it. I said, well, it feels so like showy. I was like, I don't know if I want to share it. But I listened to my dad and I did it. I didn't know it at the time, but my sister nominated me for the Rachel Ray Give Back Thanksgiving show. And it was right at the beginning of starting Fun Cycled. I had no money at all. I had no health insurance. I was like, I don't even know how we're going to buy Christmas gifts this year. We had nothing, like, when I say
Right.
nothing, really nothing extra. And it was such a gift because when you're on that show, on that Thanksgiving episode, everything they do that they give away, they give to everyone in the audience. So I was recorded by the producers answering questions about my 30 random acts of kindness. But really what was the gift was all the free things I got, and then it gave me gifts to give people for Christmas. So, like, my son's gift was an electric guitar. My daughter's gift was a Kindle,
Right.
and they were giving away, like, diamond watches and cruises, and I'm like, that's nice," and they said, "And you can have a year of free dog food," and I started crying because 'cause I'm like, "That helps with the bills, could really use that." So
The dogs need diamonds.
exactly. So that was a really cool experience. It's definitely a huge highlight, especially for the season of life I was in where it was such a gift for our family. And then we were on HGTV's Flea Market Flip,
Very cool.
and that was really scary because it's what I did for a living. So I felt like if I lost, no pressure, but you suck, like I really want to do a good job with this. I really want to make sure that I win. And I was on my way to this. Do you know Flea Market Flip? Do you know the
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So after we had flipped the furniture and we were on our way to the sale day, I called my brother and I'm like, what if we don't sell it? What if we don't win? I look like a loser on national television. And he's like, you're going to tell the stories of what you repurposed, why you repurposed it, and then they're going to sell themselves. And if they don't sell, like that's not on you, but they are going to sell. So
Yeah.
you need to tell the story. That's what you do. You tell stories about the history of pieces. So I went into the sale day just doing that. I'm like, here's what this used to be. Here's what we turned it into and why, and how you can enjoy it in your family for years to come. And so we won that show. And the blessing of that was we still had no money because we were new at Fun Cycled. We took all the money that we made and we got a storefront. That's how we were able to get our retail store.
That's
So
awesome.
Yeah, that was really a gift to us too, and that was a game changer in business having a retail store for 8 years. Um, and then we were just on BYU Survivalist, which is a race in wherever they're gonna drop you for 5 days. I do a lot of sit down type, not hike up hills, and so I was a little I was full of trepidation because I was like, "How am I gonna do this intense hike?" And our spot ended up being in Mexico. So I'm like extreme heat, extreme hiking,
Yeah.
and I'm not that in shape, you know? So I tried to work out, we tried to do hikes, we tried to prepare, but I think it was day 3, I was like, I can't keep going. There's no way. We have to quit." And we were on there was like this huge mountain we still had to climb. I ran out of water. There was no water refill stations. And I looked at John and I was like, I can't do it. And he's like, okay. And so he called the producer over and he said, we have to bow out.
Mhm.
And they said, well, look around. We can't get a helicopter or ATVs in here. It's too steep. So you got to hike out or back and you're halfway through. So we recommend keep going. And I was like, I have to have water. Like, I can't do this anymore without
Yeah.
water. I'm so thirsty. I feel like I'm going to die. And they said, no, we'll have water at the peak of that hill. That's where we can get the ATVs. So I'm like, ugh. So I pushed to the top of the hill, chugged a bunch of water, and we went along. But that also was the first time since we started Fun Cycle, I think it was 11 years in, 10 or 11 years in at that point, that I had been completely unplugged from work for a vacation because you couldn't bring electronics, no phones, no watches. And what a gift that was to my family and to me to show that it's possible. Now I try to be pretty unplugged when I travel. But then I thought, there's no way it'll run without me. There's no way. Like,
Hey.
I have to be there. And
Mm.
that's not growth mindset. That's fixed mindset, you know? And so winning that show was pretty epic too. It was really a fun experience.
So has being on TV, was that kind of on your mind? Obviously you must have applied to be on these shows, or the one fell into your lap, but did you grow up thinking, "Oh, I'm going to be on TV someday," or, how did that come about?
Well, actually, for Flea Market Flip, I didn't even want to. One of my closest friends, Marcy, said, "You need to apply. You'll win. This will be good for your business. This will be good for you." And I said, no one who doesn't know someone gets on TV." And she's like, "Just try it." And so I just emailed a random email address I found online, and I didn't hear anything for 6 months. And then they came back saying, "Yeah, we'd like you." So I was like, "Oh, that's a surprise." And okay.
Wow.
And then BYU Survivalist, I did not seek out. They sought me out and asked if
Really?
we would be on the show, and I thought they were some scam and gonna, like, traffic us or something, just because I hadn't heard of the TV show, and I was like, "Where are we going? What country are we in? And why is a big van picking me up with people that don't speak English?" Like, I'm like, "What's happening?" But, yeah, they reached out, and I didn't try. But, yes, I want my own TV show, so that's why I say yes, because eventually that's my goal is to have my own TV show.
And you're manifesting that, Sarah.
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
feel it. You're already on your way. That's
So I
exciting.
hope so.
Yes, yes. Oh, I can see it. It's gonna happen for sure,
Thank
for sure.
you.
So, I'm listening to all these adventures you've been on and all this energy you have. It's amazing. But I watched something recently and I thought, "Oh my gosh, this is what makes her truly brave," is that you took a ride in a driverless Uber. That sounds
You
terrifying.
you saw that video? Yes, I've been wanting to try one for a couple trips, and I was in Austin for design camp last week, and I saw one drive by, I'm like, and my friend goes, It's a Google image car." I'm like, "No, it's one of the driverless Waymos." And I said, "I'm going in that as soon as I can." So once she left, we had rented a car, and then I needed a ride, and I was so excited. I know it sounds like a little schoolgirl, but, like, and so most people would be afraid, but I mean, no offense, Uber drivers, but I find most Uber drivers to scare me. I'm like, "Oh, don't look. I
Yeah,
hope I don't get hit. Oh, I hope they don't hit that person in the bike." It does not feel like a relaxing experience for me. So literally it's a Jaguar. Waymars are Jaguars, all
hey.
leather interior. You soak in and you sit in and they go, "Hi, Sarah, welcome." And I'm like, "Hey, Waymo." And then it gets started. It's super cautious. It's not slamming on brakes. If it sees somebody, it slows down and pulls over. And you can pick what music you liked. And I picked jazz. So I'm like, jazzing it up. No, and I'm an extrovert, so I feel like I always have to talk to the Uber driver who doesn't want to be talking to me. And so I'm like, no pressure to talk. I can just relax. So I'm a big fan. And I actually felt safer. Like a lot of the conference started early, ended really late. So I was traveling by myself to an Airbnb at
Right.
night. I actually felt safer that it's like a robot that I can have my friends track alongside me if it goes in the wrong spot.
I
So,
hadn't even thought of it that way because I was thinking, oh, what if it like randomly, sparks start flying, the wiring flies out and the car goes veering off, right? But you're right. I actually embarrassed my daughters so hard when I said to the Uber driver when he pulled up, I asked him, "Are you one of those safe drivers or like you don't drive crazy, right? Because I can't handle that." And they're like, "Mom, you can't ask that." And I was I will be a wreck if I don't know. And so
yeah,
yeah, they were
it's
like,
a
"That's
real thing. You would like
so
Waymo then.
embarrassing." I think I'm gonna have to try it. That's
Nice and
really cool. That's really cool. Well, I know that you and John bought a house. You said how long ago was that? And is this the repurposed idea house? Is this
yep.
what you're living in? Okay. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so we had just finished an old house that was 18, I feel like it was close, 1805, our last house. And someone said, "Hey, you should look up and see how much you could sell it for now that you've redone a lot of it." And I thought, okay, but I love it. And when I say I love that house, it was so beautiful. I felt like I was living in an Airbnb. Like the gardens looked like something out of Country Living magazine. Florals for every season that were just full and vibrant. I would do floral workshops at my house with a little stream going along the back, and it was
Yes.
just this magical space that I loved, and so I started up looking up old homes right near me in my town that were selling, and the repurposed idea house came up, and I thought, "Huh, that's a huge house for the price," and so I said to John, "Maybe we should just look at it," which I've learned I can't say because John will say yes to everything, and so
It's like going to look at a puppy. Nobody looks at a puppy.
no, don't look at the puppy unless you want the puppy. So I've learned that lesson over the years. Um, Back then came to look at it and I think I could be remembering the details wrong, but I think they wanted 250 for it and it's 3,500 square feet. We came the day we came to look at it, they dropped it 50,000. So it was like 200. Because it was going to be going into an estate and then the state gets it. So they don't really want to do that, right? And so John said, "Why don't we just offer him 50 less? And if it's worth it, and like, how would we say no to a 3,500 square feet house for $1,500 on 3.5 acres?" And so I'm like, sure, but surely they won't do it. They just dropped it 50 yesterday. Yeah, they took it. They took it with no negotiations. And so then we had to sell our beautiful house. And we lived in a construction zone for 5 years while we remodeled it. And my mantra was little by little because being a designer, you love when spaces are organized, clean, finished. And so that was anything but that. Like I'd have big parties. I'm like, oh, mind the floor hole in the floor. Like step over that. Don't look up at the mold dripping out. Like it was just a lot.
And you're
But
like,
I think it,
I'm a designer. Watch, mind the mold. Don't fall off through the floor.
yeah. But I actually think it was good for friendships because I often will have friends say like, "Oh, you don't come over. It's too messy or whatever." And
Mm,
I say, "I don't care. I'm here for you. I don't like. I'm not
right.
judging your home."
Right.
Unless you ask me to look at it through a designer's eye, and then I'll help you, but I'm not,
Yeah.
like, upset that your house doesn't look a certain way, and so I had to put, like, my actual words to my life and have parties and have people over even when it was literally embarrassing, you know?
Yeah.
I had a party, I remember a chili cook-off with, over 20 people here, and the kitchen we were using was I could touch wall to wall. That's how small it was. And I'm like, this is so a hole in the ceiling, dripping I don't know what, holes in the floor, dripping. I'm like, this is just the most humbling thing for me because I'm
Hmm.
a designer. And I was like, this is good practice. I need to be humble. Like, this is good for me, even though I don't like it. And so, yeah, over the years, we've repurposed as much as we can within the spaces instead of buying new. Like, our cabinets are repurposed. A lot of most of the furniture is repurposed. We did like a live edge coffee table from a friend's tree that was taken down. So we're trying to teach people how repurposing can still be so beautiful. It doesn't have to feel like a hodgepodge DIY house. It
Sure,
can
sure.
actually feel high end.
Yeah, yeah, and you just brought me back to a memory of when my husband was in so my husband was in school for a very long time. He took his PhD, so it was a long haul. We had no money. I was teaching at the time, and so everything that we had in every apartment, or as you get like a little bit bigger apartment the next time, or like a little bit bigger, everything was garage sale, hand-me-downs, secondhand everything. It doesn't matter. You can make beautiful spaces with all of those things. And now my girls who are in their 20s are at that phase of studio apartment now. They have a one bedroom, like a little bit bigger, and trying to furnish it with, on a shoestring budget. But then where you're at, I'm looking at the beautiful display behind you. It's gorgeous. I hope people watch this on YouTube so that they can see the view behind Sarah, but it just has so much character, so that you just can't find in the brand new stuff, it seems.
You're in my kitchen. That's where you are. So those are vintage pots that are copper or I mean, brass and cast iron.
Yeah,
So
so
I
pretty.
love it. Yeah.
So pretty. Well, I'm going to let you wrap this up soon, but I want to ask you one more question for our listeners to hear what advice you might give them. So it occurs to me that you very much have a make it happen kind of mindset, that you're embracing every bit of life. And for listeners who might be feeling, a little bit stuck, whether it's with their home decor or even their life direction, what's kind of one small step you might suggest to start redesigning their space or their mindset? What kind of advice might you give to our listeners today?
It might be a little counterintuitive, but I would say, or I wouldn't say counterintuitive, but what you wouldn't expect. And that would be do inner work. And because a lot of times when I actually go into a design or into a home, they haven't taken the time to really understand how they feel and how their home makes them feel. So I'm going to give an example of my storefront, for instance. Before I opened it, I went to a lot of small boutique shops and I walked in and I just said, "How does this shop make me feel? And why does it make me feel that way? What brings those emotions? What brings that sense to me?" And for me, it was the music that was playing, the amount of items in the store, the scent actually was really important to me, and then the colors in the space. So when you if you go home and you feel like, "Ugh, I just don't feel myself at home," it might be that you don't know yourself enough to know what does feel like home to you. So I would challenge you, go to tour some old historic homes. Go to some friends' houses where you do love it, where you do feel peaceful. And I would bet it's a few things. I would bet it's probably as simple as starting with organizing, like decluttering. Get yourself to a place where when you walk in, you don't feel stressed that you have to clean up. And sometimes that just means less is more. When you're in seasons of life, be aware of what those seasons of life bring. So, for instance, when I had littles, I bought cheap couches because I didn't want to have to worry about
Right.
them ruining it. I don't want
Yeah.
anything to be something that causes anxiety if it gets ruined.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's a beautiful thing about DIY. Usually you can fix it if you've already fixed it once or you're not devastated if something happens to it. You're like,
Right.
"Okay, let's create another story. Let's go find another dresser alongside the road."
Right.
And to me, that helps my home feel peaceful. Like that I'm not stressed about things. People will be stressed bringing their kids in my house. They'll be like, "No, what if she breaks?" I'm like, "I don't care if she breaks anything. Literally anything.
Right.
We will
Right.
fix it." It doesn't people over things, and that comes from in my childhood, one of my parents were always very stressed if anything got ruined, and I thought to myself as a young kid, I will never put the feelings of people over items, you know? And so I try to really live that out in my own home. I have beautiful things, but I don't want to be stressed about it. And I
Yeah.
take time to go, how do I feel in different spaces and why does that matter? So,
Uh-huh.
for instance, even like when I travel, I used to not care where I stayed at all. And now I realize my environment does affect my mood, it does affect my mindset. And if I want to go to a place where I need to have my mind unwind and unload because I'm a highly creative person going on all cylinders most of the time,
Mhm.
I have to be in spaces where I'm not gonna be thinking, "Oh, the light isn't centered over the vanity. The mirror's wood tone doesn't match." Like, I just don't wanna think about that. I wanna walk in and be like, "It was done curated well." Doesn't have to be complicated or high end, but I do care about the spaces that I vacation in now. And so I say that I know this is a long answer, but just understand yourself, do the inner work, whether it's through therapy or reading books or going into environmental spaces to say, how do I bring peace into this space? And then implement it as you can, or curate good stories through the changes you're going to make. Like go vintage shopping, go to a yard sale on Saturdays. Like create the stories and memories that'll make you proud that it's in your house, not just, oh, I clicked and ordered everything and it's okay. Some people that works for if you're already at peace at home,
Mhm.
but if you're struggling, that might be a good thing to do. Like create the stories that you're proud of around it.
That is a fantastic answer.
Thank you.
Fantastic answer. My sister and I recently had a conversation and we kind of ended it with, if it makes you happy, it should be in your home. But you're approaching it even from a little bit deeper way of how does it make you feel? And I think that's so important, right? Because how it makes you feel probably also influences how it makes your guests feel, your kids feel, everyone that comes into your home. So I love that. Sarah, where can our listeners find you, follow you, see your transformations, connect with you, all the things?
Sure. So we have a website with a blog, and you can sign up to get weekly newsletters that point you to the blog and have specials. That's at funcycled.com. So it's FUNCYCLED.com. If you do /free, I also have a PDF that you can sign up for to get. It's like a quick packet of design tips that I think are really helpful for people. They're commonly asked questions and mood changers in the space. So I did that for your podcast if anybody wants to hop over there. And then on all the social medias, Instagram, Facebook, I'm slightly on TikTok, but not as much as I should be. And then Pinterest. We have a huge Pinterest is our biggest following too, all at Fun Cycled. So
So very easy to find you. Is there any message that you would like to give to the listeners before we sign off today?
I mean, I would just say that focus on the things that bring you joy, and remember that the restorative work that we're doing in our homes should be also be something that's being worked on in our heart. And God loves you, and He wants you to feel that love, and He wants to pour that over you. So just the restorative work is the most important, even than design.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Sarah. We really appreciate having you on the show.
Thank you.
And I hope that all of our listeners will check out, we'll put it in the show notes, how to catch up with you. Go
Thank you.
check out all things about Sarah. She's fabulous and she's got amazing designs. So thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much for having me. It's been so fun.
Absolutely. And thank you for listening today, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Redesigning Health and Home podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, we would love for you to like, share, and follow along so you can catch us on all future episodes. You can find me, Meg, at Fit, Fed, Feeling Good on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
And you can find me, Carrie, on my website at homestylewithcarrie.com and on Instagram and Facebook at Homestyle with Carrie. That's KERRI. And you can find both of us at Redesigning Health and Home on Instagram and Facebook. So join us next time for more inspiration on creating a home and a lifestyle that truly supports your best health.